We need to talk about a contradiction that sits right at the heart of the modern business world.
Okay.
On one side, you have investors, tech evangelists, everyone really, treating software as a service sauce, as the absolute holy grail.
It's the infinite money glitch. That's the pitch, anyway.
That is the pitch. You write code once, you sell it 1,000,000 times. But then you look at the actual survival rates, and the sources we're looking at today paint a totally different picture.
They don't call it a money glitch.
No. One of our main sources calls it the long, slow ramp of death.
It's a jarring contrast, isn't it? You've got the hype, and then you have the graveyard.
And that is exactly where we are unpacking today. We're not just going to define SaaS, we are going to tear apart the invisible engine that runs underneath it.
Right.
Because the difference between a business that scales and one that dies on that ramp, it usually comes down to a few really specific, kind of counterintuitive metrics that most people get wrong.
And to even understand why it's a ramp of death, you first have to get why the model is so seductive in the first place. It just fundamentally changes the relationship between the product and the money.
It's the shift from ownership to access.
Exactly. Think about the old days, on-premise software.
The box with the CD-ROM.
Yeah, Windows 95, Adobe Photoshop. You pay $500 up front, you own that thing forever, and for the company, that's a huge spike of cash.
But then they don't see another dime from you until, 3 years later when version 2 comes out?
Right. It's a feast or famine model. SaaS just flattens that out.
Yeah.
So instead of $500 today, you get, say, $10 a month.
Forever, ideally.
Ideally. It turns this jagged revenue line into a nice, smooth, predictable stream.
And Wall Street loves predictable. But that shift from the spike to the stream, that's exactly what creates the trap. Which brings us to our first big idea. The builder's trap.
Rob Walling's work is essential here. He talks about this specific mindset with technical founders. The assumption is, I can write code, therefore I have a business.
It's the field of dreams thing. If I build it, they will come.
But Walling argues that today, in 2026, that is just a fatal error.
Yeah.
Building the product is not the hard part anymore.
Not with AI and all the no-code tools out there.
For sure. The barrier to entry for just building has completely collapsed. You can get a functioning app up in a weekend.
So if building isn't the superpower, what is?
Distribution.
Yeah.
Marketing and sales. I mean, the sources are brutal on this point.
Yeah.
Until someone actually swipes a credit card, you have a hobby, not a business.
And this all ties back to the ramp of death because of the math.
It's just simple math.
Let's run the numbers on this because this is where the whole passive income dream kind of falls apart.
Okay, so compared to consulting. As a consultant, you do a job, you get paid $1,000 immediately. That's cash in the bank to pay rent.
Instant gratification.
Now with SaaS, you might do that exact same amount of work, marketing, sales, calls, onboarding to get one customer. But they're not paying you $1,000.
They're paying you, what, $50 a month?
Exactly. So you did $1,000 worth of work, and you've got $50 to show for it.
And to get that full $1,000, you have to keep them for 20 months.
20 months. You are front-loading all the effort, all the cost, and all the risk. And the revenue just trickles in later. That gap. That is the long, slow ramp of death.
And if they cancel after 6 months, you've actually lost money on them.
Precisely. And that's why the builder's trap is so dangerous. Founders spend months building the perfect tool. They launch, they get maybe 10 customers, and they realize they're only making $500 a month.
Yeah.
They just can't survive long enough for the math to work out.
But some people do survive it. We've got this case study in the stack that I found really interesting because it's so unglamorous.
The story of Nick from Ukraine.
Yeah. This isn't a story about some guy trying to build the next Facebook or some, revolutionary AI.
No, and that's exactly why he succeeded. Nick spent years in the builder's trap. He built these flashy, complex AI tools because the tech was cool.
And made zero revenue.
Zero. He was building solutions that were just looking for a problem.
Right.
So he pivoted. He stopped trying to be a visionary and started acting like a frustrated user. He was running a blog, and he realized that getting traffic from Pinterest was great, but actually creating the images, the pins, was just incredibly boring manual work.
So he built a tool to automate a boring task.
A painfully specific task. He wasn't building social media automation for everyone. He was building Pinterest automation for bloggers. That's it.
And his distribution wasn't launch and pray.
No, he did manual outreach. He found people with that exact problem and just emailed them. And because it was a real headache, they paid. Now the source says he's doing about $16,000 a month in recurring revenue.
That's almost $200,000 a year. from a niche Pinterest tool.
By respecting the ramp, he didn't need 1 million users paying $1. He just needed a few hundred professionals paying 50.
Okay, so Nick has 16K in MRR. I want to double click on that acronym. Monthly recurring revenue. It's the number every SaaS founder has on their dashboard.
It is the heartbeat of the subscription model.
But there's a huge trap here. One of our sources really highlights this. MRR is not cash.
This is where first-time founders go broke while, thinking they're rich. MRR is a momentum metric. It's a snapshot. It tells you what your subscriptions look like going forward. It does not tell you what's in your bank account today.
Let's break down the cash flow trough, because this is the mechanism that can kill even a successful startup.
Right. So imagine you're great at sales. You close a new customer on a $1,200 annual contract.
So on my dashboard, that looks like $100 of MRR.
Correct.
Yeah.
$100. But let's look at the cost side. To get that customer, you probably spent money on ads, you paid a sales commission. Let's just say your customer acquisition cost, your CAC, is $500.
And I have to pay that $500 today.
Yes. Google does not let you pay them $40 a month for the next year. They want their money now. So if you sign up 100 customers this month, you just spent $50,000 in cash.
But if they're all paying me monthly?
If they're on a monthly plan at $100, you only collected $10,000 this month.
So I spent $50,000 to make $10,000.
You are $40,000 in the hole. That is the cash flow trough. The faster you grow, the deeper that trough gets.
Yeah.
You can literally grow yourself into bankruptcy.
That's the paradox, isn't it? Grow too slow, you die. Grow too fast, you run out of cash.
Exactly.
So how do you bridge that gap? If you're not sitting on a pile of VC money, how do you survive?
Well, the sources suggest the single most effective weapon is the annual prepayment.
Just get the cash up front.
You have to incentivize it. Really aggressively. Offer 2 months free, a 20% discount, whatever it takes. If you can get that customer to pay the full $1,200 on day one,
you instantly cover your $500 acquisition cost.
And you have $700 left over to run the business. You just turn a cash-eating machine into a cash-generating machine. You're basically using your customers to fund your own growth.
Okay, so we've survived the ramp, we've managed our cash, now we have customers. But the SaaS model has a leak.
Churn, the silent killer.
It seems simple enough. Customers leave, you lose revenue. But the sources draw this really important line between gross retention and net retention. Why do we need two different numbers for this?
Because they tell you two very different things about the health of your business. Gross retention is your reality check. It asks, of the customers I had last year, how much of their revenue did I keep, excluding any upgrades or upsells?
So it strips away anything that might mask the problem.
Right. If you have 100 customers and 10 leave, your gross retention is 90%. It shows you exactly how leaky the bucket is. It's really a measure of product satisfaction.
But investors, they always seem to care more about net retention, NRR.
Because NRR shows you the growth potential of the existing base. Net revenue retention includes expansion revenue, so upsells, cross-sells, adding more seats.
Okay.
And this leads to my absolute favorite concept in this whole deep dive.
I think I know what's coming. SaaS Nirvana.
SaaS Nirvana, the concept of negative churn.
It sounds like a mistake in a spreadsheet.
It does, but it's real. Negative churn just means that the extra money you make from your remaining customers is actually higher than the money you lost from the customers who canceled.
So even if I lose 5% of my customers, if the other 95% pay me 10% more,
your revenue went up. You could, in theory, fire your entire sales team, acquire 0 new customers for a year, and the business would still grow.
that is the holy grail. That's the actual infinite money glitch.
It is, but, and this is a huge but, you cannot achieve SaaS Nirvana with flat pricing.
Because if everyone pays $50 a month forever, your existing customers can never pay you more. There's no way to expand.
Exactly. To get to negative churn, you need what the sources call variable pricing axes. You need a pricing model that scales with your customer's success.
Like Salesforce charging by the seat.
That's the classic one. The company hires more people, they pay you more. Or it could be usage-based, like Amazon Web Services. The more data you process, the more you pay. You have to design the pricing so that expansion is natural.
If you stick to flat pricing, you're just mathematically capping your own potential. You're on a treadmill forever.
You're just fighting churn with acquisition.
Yeah.
Forever.
Speaking of pricing models, we have to talk about the siren song of the software world.
Oh, freemium.
The freemium trap. Everyone wants to be Dropbox, everyone wants to be Slack. Just give it away for free and they'll upgrade eventually.
And the sources, especially Dan Martell, are just screaming, don't do it.
Why not? I mean, it seems like such a good way to get users.
It's a great way to get users. It's a terrible way to build a business unless you meet 4 very, very strict criteria.
Okay, what are the 4 rules? When are you allowed to do freemium?
Rule number 1, massive market. And we are talking tens of millions of potential users.
Why does it have to be that big?
Because the conversion rate from free to paid is abysmal. It's usually between 1% to 4%. If you have a niche market, like Nick's Pinterest tool, with maybe 10,000 potential users, converting 1% gives you 100 paying customers. You can't survive on that.
You need a funnel that's just incredibly wide at the top. Okay, rule 2.
The product has to be self-serve, completely. If a free user needs to email support or talk to a human to understand how to use it, you're dead. You can't afford to pay support salaries for users who don't pay you.
Makes sense. Rule 3.
Negligible marginal cost. So adding one more free user has to cost you fractions of a penny. If your software, processes heavy video files and costs you $5 a month in server space per user, a free tier will bankrupt you.
And the 4th one.
It has to be a competitive wedge. The free product has to be so good it disrupts the market.
So for most people, especially in B2B,
forget freemium. Do a 14-day free trial, sure, but not a permanent free tier. The sources are pretty clear that B2B business to business is just a much better place to start than B2C.
businesses have money.
Businesses have budgets, and they don't churn as impulsively. The average revenue per account, the ARPA, is just drastically higher.
Yeah.
It is so much easier to build a business with 100 customers paying $500 a month than 5,000 consumers paying $10.
Boring is better.
Boring is profitable.
So we've got the model, we've got the pricing, we're avoiding the freemium trap. How do we know if the whole machine is actually healthy? What are the diagnostic numbers?
It really boils down to unit economics, specifically the golden ratio, LTV to CAC.
Lifetime value versus customer acquisition cost.
Right. LTV is how much a customer pays you over their entire lifetime with you. CAC is what you spent to get them in the door. The benchmark for a healthy SaaS business is a ratio of 3 to 1.
Why 3 to 1 specifically?
Well, if it's 1 to 1, you're just trading dollars. You spend 100 to make 100. After you pay for salaries and servers and rent, you're losing money.
Okay, and what if it's like 5 to 1 or higher?
Then you're actually being too conservative. If you make $500 for every 100 you spend, you should be spending way more money on acquiring customers. You're leaving growth on the table. 3 to 1 is that sweet spot.
There's one more benchmark that a source mentioned that I found really useful, especially for that am I investable question. The rule of 40.
Yes. The quick and dirty test for balancing growth and profit. The rule is simple. Your growth rate percentage plus your profit margin percentage should equal 40.
It's a sliding scale, right?
Exactly. It accounts for different stages of a business. If you're a startup rocket ship growing at 100% year over year,
Investors will forgive you for losing money.
for sure. If your growth is 100%, your profit margin can be negative 60%.
Because 100 minus 60 is 40, you pass.
You're just buying market share. But if you stop growing, if your growth slows to, say, 10% a year,
Then you better be profitable.
your profit margin needs to be 30%. The one thing you cannot do, and this is what kills companies, is grow slow and lose money.
That violates the rule.
That's what they call a zombie company. It's not growing, it's not making money, it's just burning oxygen.
That is such a clear framework. Okay, we've covered a ton of ground here. Builder's trap, ramp of death, cash flow trough, SaaS Nirvana. If we had to boil this all down to one single takeaway, what is it?
That SaaS is a system of leverage. It's not just a coding project. It's about building a machine that delivers what we can call the 3 Rs. Repeatable, scalable, and profitable growth.
And I think that distinction the HBR source made between a business model and a strategy is so key here.
Yes, we are a subscription business is not a strategy. That's just a business model. It explains how the money moves. It doesn't explain why you win.
Right, Walmart and Kmart had the same business model.
Discount retail, exactly. But Walmart had a strategy, target rural towns that Kmart was ignoring. Nick, our Pinterest founder, had a SaaS model, but his strategy was targeting board bloggers who hated manual pinning. You need both.
A model without a strategy is just a spreadsheet. That's a crucial distinction. The model is the engine, the strategy is the map.
Perfectly put.
Before we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with one final kind of provocative thought. It came to me when we were talking about SaaS Nirvana and the per-seat pricing model. We said the best way to get that expansion revenue is to charge per user seat. A company grows, they hire more people, they buy more seats from you, make more money.
That's been the standard in B2B for 20 years.
But look where AI is heading. We're moving toward these AI agents, software that can autonomously do the work of a human. So if I buy a SaaS tool that is so good, so efficient, that I can fire 3 of my junior employees.
And you cancel 3 seats.
Exactly. If the software is too good, the SaaS company actually loses revenue under the traditional per-seat model. They get punished for their own efficiency.
That is a massive existential threat to the current pricing orthodoxy.
It suggests that per-seat pricing might actually die.
And we might see a forced shift toward, outcome-based pricing. You don't pay for the user, you pay for the work done. The closed ticket, the processed invoice, the generated lead.
Which would fundamentally rewrite every single metric we just spent the last 15 minutes explaining.
It would. But that's the nature of the beast, right? The ramp just keeps changing shape.
Something to think about as you build your own ramp. That's it for this deep dive into the invisible engine of SaaS. Thanks for listening.
See you next time.